That's awesome. So, what will you guys miss the most about being on tour? I know maybe after the last show, you guys might not talk to each other for a few days. Will you guys miss spending so much time together?
I think I would say for everybody that there's definitely going to be things that we're going to miss. There's definitely going to be other things that we're not going to miss. I mean, it's the same. Besides, like the grueling like nature of it. Like, luckily, we all get along and we love each other. But it's the same kind of thing when you live with somebody. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this is like living with somebody on 10. Like, this is like living with somebody 24 hours a day. It's like living with somebody, and you also work with them, and you also eat all your meals with them,
Right.
and sit away from that. Right. So, but I mean, I think we're gonna miss, like David was saying, like all that. Like, there aren't many things that 8 or 10 hour drive, eating gas station food, and being super tired from the night before. There aren't many things in life that are worth doing all that. But like playing a show where we connect with an audience, or getting our music out to new people, makes all that worth it. And like, those are the things we're gonna miss. The gas station food, I mean, I'm gonna miss it, but I live by a few gas stations, and probably just gonna walk around and.
I just want to add to that, as far as the things that we're going to miss, because we've been on tour before, and I know when I come back home after tour, there is like this, I call it like post-tour depression, and I go through like this lull, and I feel like it comes from it's like on tour you're in a different city every night, you're receiving so much energy, and if it's not only from the audience, of the people like watching you and giving you so much love, also your bandmates. Like, I'm around 6 huge personalities every day. And it's like, that's a lot of energy to be around. And I think after being on tour for a while, you become kind of accustomed to being around that kind of intense energy always. And then you get home and it's very, very different. And I think that there is like a letdown that happens and you kind of readjust. But it takes some time to kind of learn that readjustment and like, getting your feet back on the ground.
I piggyback on your piggyback? I'm going to piggyback on that real quick. So I also think there's a lot, outside of the shows that we kind of take for granted on tour. Like right now, we're talking to you from a beautiful cabin. We're about to go watch the sunset on a lake.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot. Like, yeah, sometimes we're sleeping on somebody's hardwood floor, and I'm allergic to cats, and there's 15 cats in the house. Sometimes that happens. But sometimes we end up in an amazing situation, and we're around amazing people, and we just get to have like, these experiences where we're not just with each other, but just other people that are kind of like a part of the family of Sidewalk Chalk. And just to have that all the time is another form of stimulus that's like, it can be hard to compete with outside of tour. So I think I find tour kind of addictive, actually. And so, there's a lot that I miss.
So there's a tour withdrawal afterwards. I gotcha.
A little bit. You feel the itch. You feel the itch.
Yeah.
If you can see us, we're all touching our necks and hitting our to emphasize that we're addicts for it.
Well, you see all you Sidewalk Chalk fans, all the sacrifices they make for you, sleeping in a house with 15 cats and you're allergic, gas station food, those are sacrifices. I better see you all at the next, Sidewalk Chalk show in Duluth in 2 days. But let's talk about the next song, which I think we'll play, Will We? Somebody give me a brief rundown about what that song is about before we get into it.
Right. That's one of my favorite songs on the album.
Nice.
And I think that the question, as the title, is really kind of encapsulates the whole message of we are at kind of a crossroads, and are we going to go left or are we going to go right? And for me, that song means more post-election, and where we are in 2017, it feels even more, I guess, poignant than it felt when we wrote it or when we recorded it. And a lot of the stuff, like in my second verse, when I'm talking about different people that are criminalized, like, I meant that more figuratively at the time, and now more of those things are actually illegal. More of those things are criminalized than they were before. And yeah, I don't know. You wanna...
I got something to say to that. That's cool.
Yeah.
This is David.
That's cool.
Man, that was the first song I think that we actually recorded in the studio working with Sput, and I almost forgot about it until you mentioned. I was like, well, which song? Because we haven't played that one live in a minute. But that was like a huge turning point for me, because that was the first thing we did with Sput, and I was just like, whoa, this guy is a monster in the studio, and he shaped how that song sounds, and we just knew that set the tone and the trajectory for the entire album. So that song is very special for me in that sense, away from like the lyrical meaning and stuff, but just as far as like what this album means. Yeah, period.
Mic drop. Great. So
I'm at that point, not one else.
So let's get into the songs. We could take a quick break, and we can come back and talk a little bit more about the album. And we still have one more song to play from you guys. So you guys make sure that you stay tuned. We are not finished with you yet. Next up, we have Will We by Sidewalk Chalk. We'll be right back.
We were stuck between a rock and a hard place sandwich. It can't be all bad, can it? Can't get a candidate to be candid. Canned responses are all we can get. Slogans chanted. Get your chance lit to recant it for the cancel it on and on with no advancement. Slogans chanted. So enamored with hope, that lonely phantom. Course the coroner won't examine, so enchanted. So we're famished, vote for so-and-so, your only answer. Can't just stand and sit still, waiting on the day you sex Mike and it'll get popular with someone famous on the banner, yelling banter on the bandwagon. It will band together, no better present than time. A time better than the present is precious, just like diamonds, time and pressure for present. Same with movements, we've seen it since forever. We tested, never seen necessity lessen, expecting the dead will remain in the crypts where they left them. They guess wrong, that's why he's on stay woke.
Did we accept defeat? Will we fight for peace? When they raise their guns against us, will we rise up? Will we fall? They don't know us at all.
It's a crime to be poor. It's a crime to be poor. It's a crime to be sick in the mind or addicted to drugs. Matter of fact, it's a war that rich ain't gotta endure. It's a crime to be gay. It's a crime to be trans. It's a crime to be brown. It's a crime if your gender's not quickly defined or your skin look like mine. You don't fit in the lines. To be a woman is a crime. To be Islamic is a crime. Indigenous is a crime. If you're foreign, it's a crime. Police killings ain't a crime. A bank stealing every dime. Dead civilians ain't a crime. But protesting in dissent is you sit in, surveil till your sentence. Evidence illegally obtained, still admitted. What's in it? A slate of big business. They say we can't fix it. I feel different.
Did we accept defeat?
And we're back. You're listening to Support the Dope Radio. I'm your girl CB. I'm still hanging with your favorite band's favorite band, Sidewalk Chalk, who is my guest on the season 3 premiere. I love that. You guys are always so excited and you do it collectively. So you guys just heard Will We off of their 4th full-length album, An Orchid Is Born. So you guys tell me, like, what's the significance behind the album title, An Orchid Is Born?
We actually came up with that name. I actually misheard one of Rico's lyrics when we were early on in the writing process. There's a song where he says, I think inside you an orchid is growing, but I thought he said inside you an orchid is born. So
Okay.
I meant that idea. I thought that was a good idea because we were already that was probably halfway through the writing period, and we already had some themes of rebirth and growth, especially with, like, me joining the band and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of talked about that and agreed that it was a good idea, and from there, the second half of the songs we wrote were kind of written with that in mind. So then there were all the themes of not only flowers and growing and everything like that, but specifically orchids that are perennials that come back every year and are dormant during the winter. And that kind of ties into the album is divided into 3 parts: the hope, the loss, and the birth. Kind of explores themes that, you know, we all have periods, either as a country or individually or in certain groups, that we kind of have to go through some cold, hard times and be dormant for a while. But the thing that comes after that is sometimes not only better than what happened before, but it was necessary for us to go through the dormant period in order to get to that.
Nice. Anybody want to add to that? Yep. So who else besides, I know you guys, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know, I think Josh kind of covered it. The only thing I would add is that just as with an orchid, like the way that you get from the dormant period to that birth or to that beautiful flowering, it involves work. It's not always easy to get from the dormant place to the place of growth. And I think, and that's one of the things that, like, we mention sometimes in shows is, like, you know, you can be optimistic or pessimistic, but if you're optimistic, there's kind of there's work that's involved with that, because just being optimistic and thinking that things will get better without your input or without you doing anything about it isn't really helpful for you or anyone else. But if you're optimistic and you have also, like, that work ethic with it, that's really valuable, you know, even to people who don't agree with you that things will get better. If you believe it and you're willing to do it, there's some power there.
Absolutely. So with 7 members in the band, trying to create one album together, was that like a lengthy process for you guys? Like, do you remember how long it took you to actually, from start to finish, how long it took you to create An Orchid Is Born?
Yeah, so this particular album, compared to our other albums, was really swift. We were really focused in saying we want to write an album, we want to have this many songs done by this date, we want to go into the studio by this time, we want to raise, you know, there was a timeline for everything. And I really think that album, we wrote it within, like, maybe, like, there were some songs that we had before that, like How was one song that we had wrote before, but the bulk of the album we wrote within, like, a few months or something. I mean, it was, yeah, it wasn't a long process at all. Whereas in, like, our first album, we had been writing those songs for, like, years before we recorded them. So it was quick. So it's kind of cool. It's like a little